What is cooking, YouTube? I'm Casserole J, and today I wanted to talk about the latest PTB that came out. This one's the actual PTB, not the pre-PTB. I'm going to talk about that too. And I want to talk about my positives, my negatives. I also want to talk a little bit on the lights out, the chaos shuffle, basically all the stuff that's been going on in DBD recently, because I haven't made a video in a little bit, and you guys really liked the last one. We got a lot to talk about in this one, so I know I always say that I'm going to try and be quick, but this time I'm going to actually try and not focus on one topic for too long. I'm probably going to start like ranting a little bit at the end, but yeah, let's start with the PTB, and I'm not really going to go into detail about like the perks or anything like that, because most of us have you've probably seen pretty much everything there is to see about the Judgment. And I was also watching the pre-public test build videos with the rest of you guys, so I was curious how difficult this killer was going to be when they were actually put into my hands, because some of you guys know I'm kind of a mediocre player. I'll have background footage of a couple of games on both Survivor and Killer. Overall, I played maybe like 5 or 6 games, and my immediate thoughts on the Judgment is that I think the Judgment is pretty fun, actually. I think they have a really interesting power, and I like how unique it is. A lot of people obviously did their best to compare it to like 5 other killers. I think it's fun, and I don't care. I think it's really fun to go against on Survivor. It's weird because you'd think it feels like a BS power, but somehow getting sniped across the map, like when you're on a gen, like it doesn't even feel bad or anything. I don't know, it's weirdly fun. I think it helps that the killer's 110. We're gonna do a mix of positives and negatives, because I wanted to start with the positives, but there has to be negatives that come with the positives. So I'm gonna be honest, we're gonna get into the negatives of this killer. First off, positive, I do really love the add-on set. I think it's one of the most, if not the most unique add-on set that we have for the character. The visual design is beautiful, like literally just 10 out of 10 for the sounds, the voice lines, the designs. The Mori is not my favorite, like it's not what I would have gone for, but you know what, I think they were limited from what they could really do. So I don't really like the Mori that much. Overall, I think Aurora also has great design, great voice lines. I think the perks, they aren't meta, but they're both on, like, both the killer, the Judgment, and Aurora's perks are like useful enough that I would probably run them like in a couple of matches. So that's really all you can ask for when sometimes characters be getting dropped with perks that have like no use and you never see them. So I think that's fine. The Exile, of course, looks absolutely wonderful, and it's awesome because as a killer, you don't actually have to hook people. You can just send them into the Exile, or they can play a little mini game to get buffs. I don't have any complaints about that. I think it's fun. Yeah, so overall, my opinion of the killer is pretty high, but now, if we're going to be honest, I'm going to get into the negatives. I feel like it's really crazy that for a community-made killer, this is one of the most inaccessible, unmade for the community killers ever. And like, I feel like Jason would make so much more sense as a community killer in his design, right? He's basic, he's simple, but he's strong in his own right. In the Judgment, the interesting thing is they have the potential to be the strongest in the game, no questions asked. But the skill floor is also so high. Like regular killer's skill floor, maybe you're 1 or 2 levels up. The Judgment's like, you're at the top of the building on the maintenance roof. Like, it's absurd. In my background footage, I'm doing okay-ish considering I just like picked up the character, I think, but I still think the character is really difficult and it's going to take a long time to understand, to really get to the full potential of their power, which I don't really have a problem with. I think that's kind of cool. And I like that, it's such a interesting, like, strange killer. But I really do feel like 90% of the community is not going to play the community-made killer, and I just think it's a really strange decision that's kind of what behavior went with instead of, I don't know, because I see a lot of people complain about killer designs being boring or dash slop or blah blah blah. I don't really complain. I don't care if a killer's power is similar to someone else. I don't care if it's another dash killer, just as long as the killer's like fun to play and also like strong enough to keep up. That's really all I care about. And the Judgment's weird because she theoretically has the power to keep up and decimate everyone, but 90% of your matches, that's just not going to be happening because of the players you're going against. The killer is so reliant on 50-50s, I feel like, and this is something I really haven't seen anyone see, or not anyone see, I haven't seen anyone talk about. The killer is so weird in the way that you could really master her and become one of the strongest, but I feel like it would have a smaller amount of impact on the match than if you mastered, say, Nurse or Blight, if that makes any sense. I feel like this killer is really reliant on the players you're going against, which you could say for most killers, right, theoretically. But for her, it feels especially like you're affected by the people you're going against. And overall, I like the power, right? I think it was kind of fun. Even in I had a few matches where I kind of got cooked. You know, I got like 5 or 6 hooks at like 1 gen. I think this killer could be buffed. I don't know why so many people are defending her like it's life or death and saying, no, she has no mistakes, she's a god tier killer and she's gonna break the meta. No, she's not gonna do any of that, because when she comes out, 80% of the people aren't gonna be able to play her, right? Most of this player base, despite what most people think, is decently semi-casual, and me myself, a player with almost 2k hours, right? I was doing on this killer. I'm considered above like casual, not competitive, but I'm slightly like in the realm of I know what I'm doing more than the average player, and I was really struggling to play this character, right? So I can't imagine Donald. Donald just had a 9 to 5. He wanted to get off to play the newest DBD killer after putting his kids to bed. He has like 30 to 40 minutes to play before he gets to go to bed. Donald's not gonna have a good time unless Donald enjoys getting thrashed aggressively and teabagged all match. Like, right? Am I crazy for saying that, or is it like it makes no sense that our community killer, almost no one in the community, this is my prediction, I think it's just going to be Crossu, where for the first week everyone acts like the killer is insanely strong, and then lo and behold, all the survivors learn the basic counterplay is literally just play for 50s, play for line of sight breakers, and just move side to side slightly. And then like 80% of the players are going to stop playing her. Maybe like 50 people in the whole world will keep playing her until they become unstoppable monsters that cannot lose a single match with her. And that's really, I feel like that's just how it's going to go. And I don't know, I just think that's more of a negative thing than a killer like Jason, where I feel like anyone can pick them up, kind of enjoy them, kind of do well, where they have a low skill floor, but he still has such a high skill ceiling for his teleports and orbitals and overall macro pressure, where Judgement, honestly, in my opinion, and yeah, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be a better man, partially it's a skill issue. I think it's a skill issue because this killer is so difficult to play, but I will say it is a skill issue where I feel like Judgement falls flat in a lot of things, like up close chase. I feel like the power could be tweaked to honestly be a little easier to use, right? I don't want like too easy, right? Because the problem is, if you buff this killer too much and make it so that anyone can play her easily, then, you know, she's going to be like one of the strongest killers ever, right? But I think there's some small tweaks and changes you can make, right? Like, I would say nerf her in some aspects and then heavily buff her in others. Like, I wouldn't mind decreasing the max range so you couldn't get those crazy snipes if you had like a secondary mode where you could switch to like an up close pillar, or like you become 115 and your pillar like instantly damages, but it only goes for like 6 meters, right? I feel like she could also benefit from having a couple of her brown add-ons made base kit, because something I noticed was a lot of the creators I was watching, Mr. Headache especially, shout out to you, you're goated, man. I know I was in your chat bothering you, but he was getting severe motion sickness playing this character, because for those who don't know, like the devs themselves endorse this, what Hens called the Beyblade tech, where you do a 180, because how the power works, right? It's a basic, you send out a beam of light that can damage people. The beam of light is sent out as a slingshot from like a secondary aimer. So what you would do is you turn around, you do a full 180, you drag the aimer back, and then you'd flick back towards the survivor. Maybe you can gauge like roughly where they are, and then you just fire it out. So it's kind of interesting. It is kind of like a backward slingshot, which is, you know, it's fun, but at the same time, it also makes it almost impossible to accurately hit a survivor, unless the survivor is just going to be standing in place or holding W, which most of the time, a decent survivor is not going to be doing either of those things. And for creators and people who get motion sickness, this killer is like basically impossible to play unless they're running like specialized add-ons, and I think that's just stupid. I think the whole Beyblade tech on its own is stupid. I see a lot of people are saying like it's really cool and skill expressive, and it's like, no, it feels like you're literally just firing off like 50s 50-50. I don't know. I just don't think it's all what people are saying. People are like, if you can really get it right, this killer's so strong. But it's like, I don't have that opinion. And most of my matches that I played as a survivor, I kind of like lost, but you know, it was really close, so it didn't really feel like a loss. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people were saying this, and it just wasn't true. That's my, that's my take. Maybe it's a skill issue. I just don't think. I think the Judgment has the potential to obviously be really strong, but I don't think almost anyone's ever gonna get to like that level of strength when they could just play someone else, right? And I don't want that to happen because the design and the audio and the power, like it's so cool, and I do really love it. Like I love the Judgment, but I don't know, man. All right, yeah, we're gonna have to move on. So yeah, also I didn't even talk. I'm gonna do this quickly. Controller players are just not landing hits. Like most controller players are just not planning to get this character, which most players that play DBD are console players for the most part. So I feel like before this goes live, Behavior only has like 20 days or so. I think they need to make small buffs and tweaks to the Judgment. Like I don't mind taking away from her in some departments and adding to others, because I feel like there's stuff like the attack delay is too long, so you can't actually aim at survivors that are in front of you unless you're running a specific add-on. She sucks in up close chase. She's 110, so she can't catch up. You can barely use your power unless you're doing this weird sideways thing, which most of the time if you're on a tile, you're not gonna be able to see the survivor too much. And on filler pallets and stuff, it's very easy to dodge for the survivor. Like you have to put in very little effort. Most of the times I got hit was honestly just luck, or the killer like predicting, that I was gonna stay still and dodge the other way, which good on them. Not taking away from them, right? Not taking away from them. I suck at this killer, so I don't know. It's just, I feel like all around this killer's gonna need a lot of balance tweaks, and I just think with things like repenting and up close chase and just like her beam in general, like I'll have moments where it literally skins the back of the survivor's head and it doesn't damage them just because of the visual. And it's like, I think we could honestly just increase the size of the hitbox, decrease the amount of time it takes before the beam actually like lands and damages, make there be some sort of penalty for a survivor getting their friends out of the exiled, because when they currently do it, it takes 5 seconds and you just desummon like 2 to 3 people out of there for nothing. I feel like there should be some sort of effect, or you get damaged and it doesn't kill you, but you get damaged and deep, like I don't know. I feel like it really needs something, because the killer's awesome, right? And I'm not taking away from people who say this killer's gonna be strong, because she can be strong. I just don't think she's going to be strong most of the time. And I see this weird thing where like so many people are already making it like a us versus them thing, where a lot of people are like, you're either on the side that's you absolutely like she's too weak, she's D tier and she needs all the buffs, or you're on the like weird pompous side where it's like, oh, this killer is very strong, you just suck and don't know how to play because you can't play for 6 hours a day. It's just, I don't know. Killer hasn't even released yet. I just feel like Behavior can never get good feedback because this game is just filled with so many assholes that just don't know how to actually have an open discussion. Just feel like everyone's constantly fighting and getting mad about everything and complaining, me included. I make mostly videos critiquing and talking about DBD, which is why I try to include like positives and like, because I want the game to actually change for the better. I could just make a video every other day where I'm just like, this game sucks and here's why everything sucks, because it all sucks. But I try not to do that, and I try to actually critique and talk about things that like are worth talking about, like a new chapter. I could just, because it gets clicks, right? It gets clicks, it gets like, I could just hate farm DBD forever, but I don't want to do that because that doesn't actually help anyone or help the game. And a lot of people are like, man, if you hate this game so much, why do you play it? There's just so many people in my comments saying that, and it makes me so mad, because it's like, if I hated the game, yeah, I wouldn't play it. I don't hate the game. Like, talking about a game and complaining and critiquing about a game is the only way you're gonna make a game better, and I don't know why Dead by Daylight's player base is so afraid of that. I don't know if it's just because it's, Behavior has just kind of like constantly had complaining because the game usually has some problems, but it's like everyone gets so defensive and ridiculous when you talk about like, hey, this has a problem, and everyone's like, shut up, you're just a loser, why do you hate this game so much? And it's like, everyone's just so aggressive off the bat in this community, and I don't know why. It's like you literally just can't have a normal discussion, and I hate it. But yeah, that's not the main point of this video. Overall, PTB, I would really like to see the Judgment get some buffs, right? Like, I think we could get some add-ons base kit. I think we could get like hitbox increases. I just think there's a lot they could do to maybe make the killer stronger without making them too strong. And I don't know if you guys are like, well, if you don't have any actual ideas, it's like I do have tons of ideas that I could just list right now, but I'm not going to because that's a whole nother video. So yeah, and and then you have people like Hens, where Hens is like, I don't think this killer is that hard, bro. And like, Hens, I love you, but this is your full-time job. You have like 20K hours overall. 90% of players don't have that, right? And I'm not saying this like as like Hens is stupid or wrong for this take, because he's right. For him, it's not that hard because he has so much time. But almost nobody has that much time. And then you have people like Otz, where it's the opposite, where Otz has like 10K hours. Spooky Loops has 10K hours. Scott Jund has like 8K hours. And they're all like, man, this killer is really hard to use. Right? Spook and Jukes has an absurd amount of hours. He has 8K. He's like, this killer is very hard to use. And I agree, right? I'm not trying to build my opinions off of people that are bigger than me and just going like, yeah, you guys are right. Because I waited. I tested the character out myself. Then I came to the conclusion, yeah, I agree with these guys. For the most part, I agree. That's really, I don't know. And it feels like there's this weird controversy going on where people are acting like there's controversy, like talking about the new killer before it's came out, and like people are making these weird like groups, and I don't know, it's just it genuinely is just immediately us versus them, and the killer hasn't even came out yet, right? And I'm worried that this killer isn't going to get any power tweaks or changes because of how many prototypes that we've had, and because behaviors released multiple, which I want to talk about the multiple PTB thing. Maybe I'm overreacting, and I haven't seen many people say this. I think it's weird. I think it's weird as heck. They had a creator-specific early PTB, and then like this bullshit raffle shit where like 10 people or like 5,000 people are chosen out of like 20K. I think, and I didn't get chosen. I just think it's really like weird and stupid that they did that. I don't know why they did that, because then for me it killed most of the hype. Because I just watched everyone else play it, and when the PTB came out, I was like, I don't really know if I want to try this, because my hopes were already, I was like, this killer looks like too hard for someone like me, which I played them, I think they're fun. I think they are too hard. And, like I said, partially skill issue, that's my take, and that's just how it is. Yeah, I do have a skill issue. So does everyone else. Most people, it's not their full-time job to play this game, and while there is like 44 killers in the game, so I think it's okay to have killers that are more difficult than others because of how many killers there are, but just factoring in this is the new killer, this killer has a great design, this is the community killer, I think there's lots of ways to make this killer more accessible without making them brain dead. That's my take. Final take on that, I'm done with that. But yeah, I think this, like the fact that they did a weird pre-PTB and we're like, well, like these guys get to do it, but no one else does because they're in our iridescent creator program. It's like half cool because it's like, ooh, they get to do stuff, right? They get to actually get like rewarded for their creator program. But at the same time, it was like, what about the rest of us, right? Like a PTB is supposed to be something we all do. Not all of us, because only Steam can do it. I should say only PC. And I think it's stupid. I do. I think they shouldn't have done that. I think they should have just waited for the full release and then everyone could have hopped on. I don't know, man. It's just, I just have like, I just feel like this whole chapter was so good and interesting, the whole Course of Sin, and like they just aren't doing it right for the most part. Like, I don't know. I don't feel like they're flopping, but I don't feel like they're doing it to the best of their ability. And I keep seeing these people around like comment sections and Twitter posts going like, oh my god, the DBD community is complaining about the killer power they created. Who would have thunk of that? Like, I'm so quirky and different. It's like, dude, we didn't vote for this power. Maybe those fucking people don't know because those people didn't actually follow the grimoire process like I did, but we didn't get the power that we voted for at all. And 9 times out of 10, yeah, we quote-unquote created the chapter. We chose from like 3 presets for every single thing. And I understand that's like, we can't physically create an entire chapter as a group, right? So that's why they did the preset thing. But we didn't really create a chapter. We chose from a chapter that behavior created. And people are acting like we are complaining about the power we made. This wasn't even the power that we originally wanted. I wanted a freaking map-wide laser beam like Iron Man, right? That's not what we got. We got this heavenly orbital strike, right? Which is cool. I'm not complaining about that. But like, there's these dumbasses in every comment going like, wow, complaining about the power you chose. DBD for you. And it's like, dude, that's not what we chose. Like, does no one understand that's not what we chose? It's just not. And I don't know why so many people keep saying this, because it's like, it's not, you're just wrong. You're objectively wrong because we didn't choose this. I like this power, but like, Yeah, I wanted to get buffed because this isn't the fucking power I chose. I chose something completely different. It's so dumb. So overall, I agree with most creators. I think the PTB is awesome. I think it has a great music. Actually, I gotta say, the music is an absolute banger. I think the visuals are just, like, beautiful. They're beautiful. It's the best that DBD has. The killer, when I saw it, I thought it was just AI, because I was like, there's no way something looks this good in game. The cosmetics, mwah, really good for both sides. The voice lines, mwah, I love the Judgment's voice lines. Aurora's voice lines are okay. I think, like, it's really cool we got an old woman survivor, because we don't really have that. Now Vittorio has someone with him, right? And overall, I give it like a 6 out of 10. I would love to give it a higher rating, and it's really the visuals and music and sounds and like design that pushes it to that, because the power, it's fun, but it's lackluster and it could be stronger. And I feel like everyone that's arguing like no, it's completely 100% fine, is going up against like ass survivors 90% of the time, right? I feel like they're going up against, and you know, you can say that doesn't really invalidate an argument, because like that's an opinion, but I just, from most people are like, I think this killer's like super strong, and they're just going up against survivors that aren't dodging, aren't doing mind games, they're just holding W, and they're like, wow, this killer's so strong. It's like, you're not even going up against people that know what they're doing. Like, I'm not trying to take away or be like, well, I'm better than you, because like, you know, we all have different experiences, but that's just from what I've seen, and I'm not going to name anyone, but I'm like, most of the people that are saying this aren't going up against the survivors that I'm going up against. You know, one of the games I got down to 1 gen, the only reason I won was because I had people giving up in the PTB, which that's another thing I got to talk about on both sides. The recorded footage, I showed like the best possible that I could. I showed like the survivors playing well, you know, the killer playing well. I cut out most of the games where people were just giving up and doing troll builds and going next, because that's not very fun, right? But there was a surprising amount of people doing that in the PTB. I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because it has a DC penalty is removed, but yeah, I thought that was really weird. So yeah, we're going to move on from the PTB, and we're going to talk about the Summer Screams event, which, for those that don't know, is the current event going on where every week we have a event happen with quests. Yeah, so I think Chaos Shuffle was fun. You know, you guys know me, I like Chaos Shuffle. I found myself kind of struggling on both sides. I don't think I was doing particularly bad, but I don't think I was doing well either. So it was interesting to see how I played when I didn't choose my perks. And it was really frustrating how many times I was playing killer. Like Trapper, I got padded jaws twice in a row. Bubba, I got the add-on where when you hit someone, you don't insta-down them. Like, there was multiple times in a row where I was playing a killer, and I would just immediately get the add-on that removes any power from their power. Like, I'd get a meme add-on, and every single match, it's Chaos Shuffle, right? So it's kind of, you roll the dice, right? But I couldn't help but be more upset at the end, because I'm like, these survivors got DS, Sprint Burst, dramaturgy, plot, like they got good perks in majority of my matches in Chaos Shuffle, and I would get dookie. Same on the survivor side, I was getting like Windows, Sprint Burst, like in the same match. So I don't know if that was just luck of the draw, but I was just seeing, I don't know if they boosted like the strong perks, but I'm still seeing survivors get like perks that are actually good while I'm getting a add-on that removes my power from damaging people. So just, you know, just kind of weird, right? Just something I noticed. That event was okay. I like that they did the gens. I like that there was a little effect for when you pop the gen, you got extra blood points. I like that when you hook a survivor, you know, the hook sizzles. I think it was a really cool visual effect. I like that they're giving us just a small amount of extra BP. I don't actually like the slushy machine that's on top of the gens compared to last year's. I don't know why they didn't keep last year's, because last year's was colorful and I think just fit the vibe. The new one, I don't know. I just don't really know. It's not a huge problem. I just don't know why they changed it when it looked like better last year's than this year's. So that was kind of weird. We have to talk about Lights Out, because for those that don't know, the buffs that go on in Lights Out, which it's called Lights Out, by the way. If you have a candelabra, you can place it on a gen to see a gen's aura. You can shine it to see base kit windows of opportunity around you. In Lights Out, you just see auras, right? You just see everything. Gens have a 20% repair increase, and all gens start with 5% done, which isn't a huge amount, right? But it's like that on top of that. Survivors get 60, or is it 50? It's 50 or 60 seconds of endurance when they're unhooked in the game mode where you can barely track survivors anyways, because they don't have scratch marks. What else? Yeah, survivors can see the auras of gates. And I understand neither side has perks, but the killer didn't get anything. All the killer got was Franklin's when they down a survivor, which, the candelabra makes it easier to track them. So I just, I mean, like, it's really, it's really getting, like, ridiculous. It's really getting stupid with how behavior. I don't know at this point why they're just going so hard with the survivor hand holding. I don't, okay? Because at the start, I'm like, they're trying to make these little changes. They're trying to make these big tweaks for newer players. And now they're just doing stuff like this, where it's like, you just get endurance off the hook for a minute. You just get a ton of repair progress. Gens start repaired. You see the auras of everything. You have base kit windows. It's like, what? Why would I play this mode as a killer? Right? And I won most of my games on killer, right? Playing like Ghostface, Bubba, Kaneki. I won majority of my games. And I'm not playing again. I played for like a couple hours and I was like, I'm done. Because I don't want to. Why would I play this, right? Why would I play this when the regular mode is already so survivor sided and now they're just doing that? Right? Like, why? I don't understand. Lights out is not lights out, it's lights on. Because, like, all the auras are being shown. You're seeing pallets. You're getting. It's like in majority when I was playing survivor, I'm not a good survivor, right? I'm mid survivor. We were like 3-4 outing the killer, and the killer was averaging like 3-1-4 hooks. I didn't have a single game where the killer won out of like 6 games that I played. I escaped 100% of the time. I just don't understand how that's fair at all. It's ridiculous. And there's no need for all these extra things, because this is supposed to be a fun party mode where it's like, it's all crazy and no one can see anything, and it's like old DBD, you ain't got no information, but it's just like, all this extra shit for no reason for the survivors. And mind you, the killer didn't get nothing. I just don't, like, it makes me so upset because I don't know why it's like that. I just don't. You don't need to cater that hard. Like, it really does make me like question behavior's priorities. I'm like, do you really only care about casual survivors? Like, do you not care about casual killers at all? Because they showed how they feel about casual killers when they released the Judgement, where it's like just the most difficult killer to play for the community killer, right? Like, there's this weird double standard where it's like the survivors barely have to put in any mental capacity. They just get all these free buffs and all these game modes and all these perks and base kit changes, while killer, you're getting a fucking mind-numb quantum mechanics slingshot geometry triangular killer, and it's like, what? Like, how does that make any sense? I don't know. But getting into the changes that I thought were good, because we need to do some positives or I'm going to lose my stuff. Moment of Glory, Clean Break, Apocalyptic Ingenuity, Repressed Alliance. All these perks got buffed. Sprint Burst, Vigil, Deli got nerfed. Nowhere to Hide, Chorophobia. Like, all perks I don't really care, but I'm like okay-ish with getting nerfed got nerfed. Stuff like Call of Brine got buffed. The buffs are not very substantial for, like, the killer perks. I think for survivor perks, they're, like, actually pretty decent. Like, Moment of Glory, you only have to open one chest. Apocalyptic Ingenuity. These are all changes I would have made already, so I'm glad to see that they did them. I'm really glad Repressed Alliance got buffed, because I really enjoy running that perk back in the day. So, yeah. And they're finally showing that they're interested in nerfing the just meta-breaking perks like Sprint Burst and Vigil. They could honestly go even more heavy with the nerfs, but I'm just glad they got nerfed at all, because it shows that they're still willing to nerf it. So, and next in 2027, we're getting a big like 45+ perk overhaul and rework, so that's really exciting. I'm glad that they're finally going back and changing perks, because I feel like the game has just been really stale for like a super long time, and I'm excited that they're gonna make some changes. Glenn released The Walking Dead. Yes, my favorite character, Glenn, and I have to say his model is a 10 out of 10. I mean, he just looks great. It's like one of my favorite survivors to play already. I like his clothing. I love his face is perfect. I think his screams and voice lines and all that it's not the original Stephen Yeun, unfortunately, but it's apparently a guy that did voice acting for Glenn in another Walking Dead series. I think it's like an audiobook, or was it a game? So I'm okay with that. I'm sad they couldn't get Steven, but Steven himself wants like nothing to do with Walking Dead, so it would have been impossible to get him. I would have got the voice actor from the Invincible game. For those who don't know, Stephen Yeun voiced Mark in Invincible, and then they had a different guy voice him in the Invincible fighting game, and it sounded like insanely like him. So I kind of wish they'd gotten that guy for DBD, because I actually think that would have sounded way better. But overall, I run the skin. Like, this is probably going to be my new main for a while. I just really like I just like it all, you know? So that's a positive. Perk changes, great. Perk nerfs, perk buffs to weaker or underused perks, great. I think perks like Deli that got nerfed, it didn't really do anything or actually show why the perk was so strong. I do think being broken for that time helps, but I would make it like a conspicuous action to unhook yourself, so you can't like force DS. Like, you can still get endurance and, you know, speed and now elusive off the hook, but I think it should deactivate stuff like decisive. And that's another thing. Now they went back to 10 seconds of endurance and speed off the hook, which is great. But it's also 10 seconds of elusive, which I see a lot of people getting mad about. I personally don't think this is going to be a huge problem, and I suck at tracking. Like, you can usually just use your eyes, you know, unless the survivor gets unhooked with, like, resurgence. They run into the corner, their teammate heals them. Yeah, but, I mean, I'll take it over the 15 seconds of endurance and haste in endgame, because that was ridiculous. Paddle density didn't get addressed at all. No killers really got buffed. Like, not a lot really changed in the PTB. Killer-wise, like I said, the perks got changed, and I'm definitely going to be playing around with those perks when they come to live. Even though most of them are, like, weaker perks, I'm definitely going to be just playing with them and trying stuff out. The killer got, like, no changes from the pre-PTB, which makes sense, because it was, like, 2 days from the regular PTB drop. So if things remain the way they are, I would give this overall, like, chapter/patch a 7 out of 10, okay? I don't know. I'm so mixed. Like, there's so many things that I'm excited for, and there's so many things where I'm frustrated about, and it's really interesting. It's interesting how much stuff is going to be going on, right? It's like, it's been a little while since we've had, like, stuff really going on like crazy. So we'll just have to see how it goes. My only wish list, right? More nerfs to meta survivor perks. Honestly, I wouldn't even mind a few nerfs to some of the meta killer perks right now. More killer changes. Maybe, like, slight, which this is never going to happen, but slight palette density revision. I don't mind that they tried to remove dead zones, but I think removing, like, 30% of the filler palettes would make it feel much better for, like, M1 killers. And Judgement getting small buffs / like, tweaks and number tweaks and power adjustments, I think would be the best change, because I do like this killer, but I just don't think a lot of people are going to want to play him. Because a lot of people already struggle on, like, easy to understand killers as it is, so Judgment's gonna be like just a completely different story. So yeah, bit of a longer video. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know down in the comments if you agree or disagree. As always, please be polite and disrespectful. Like, you can be like, I don't agree with you because blah blah blah, but if you're like, you're just a stupid idiot that has no idea of how anything works, I'm not going to regard that comment, right? That comment holds no value because it's just an insult and it's not actually any sort of, like, good argument as to why I'm wrong. So give me, like, actual good feedback and I can be like, oh, okay, I can agree with this. Also, consider liking and subscribing. I didn't say it all during the video, but yeah, you should subscribe because we're trying to hit 2,000 subs soon. Thank you for watching, and I will probably make a video when the chapter drops.
Yeah. there will be no redemption.
Not enough!